Imagine the power of silence, a choice so subtle yet so transformative that it changes your entire reality. What if, in 2025, the best way to protect your peace is by saying nothing at all? Your peace, your purpose, and your emotional well-being are on the line. Every toxic connection you hold on to keeps you from stepping into the life you deserve. Silence isn't weakness. It's the strength you need to free yourself. Are you ready to choose peace over chaos and reclaim your life without saying a single word? I don't mean to imply that you should wallow in resentment or loneliness. This is about putting purpose before drama, boundaries before drama, boundaries before anger, and bravery before comfort. Patience is strength, not weakness. It's a statement that says, I refuse to waste my energy where it's not honored. The most precious asset you possess is your energy. It's not about the time or money you have, since you can't make the most of either of those things without energy. Everything you do, from setting goals to maintaining relationships, is powered by your energy. Despite this, we tend to freely offer it to those who deplete it, to unworthy disputes, and to situations that sap it. Remember to treat your energy with the utmost reverence in 2025. Think of it like money, finite, valuable, and, for the time being, non-renewable. Would you just stroll into a store and start buying stuff you don't even need? Who would you trust with your life savings if they treated it with such contempt? Absolutely not. We waste energy doing that, so why? Realizing its destination is the first step in safeguarding it. Consider, what or who is draining me the most? Do I feel like these things are enriching my life or taking away from it? You should look into energy audits. Yes, an audit, because your best qualities aren't appropriate for every situation. You might not always see warning flags when dealing with folks who sap your energy. On occasion, they may be those you're closest to. Their expectations, words, or deeds may not be malicious, but they nevertheless seem like an invisible weight. It might be a loved one who carelessly crosses your limits, a coworker who expects you to cover for them, or a buddy who moans all the time but never listens. Their naivete about going too far stems from their habit of being overly generous with you, which is the most frustrating aspect. However, I want you to understand that this has nothing to do with being insensitive or ignoring other people. It's about setting limits that protect your energy and learning to say no without apology. It takes self-awareness, not selfishness, to say no. Putting the life you want to create ahead of the things that drag you down is a sign that you've made up your mind. For the time being, let's discuss those diversions. One of the major drains on resources is conflict. Consider the last time someone irritated you. How long did you spend mentally rehearsing your response, thinking of the best way to counter that point, or just talking about it with someone? Gone is that energy, your energy, time and effort that could have been better spent pursuing your passions, taking care of yourself, or just living life to the fullest. Being deliberate about where you put your energy is another way to keep it safe. No matter how heroic you are, not every conflict or person will be won by you. It takes strength, not weakness, to avoid poisonous situations or arguments. Reclaiming your power is as simple as disengaging from things that sap you. I am too valuable to waste my strength on what doesn't serve me, is the message you're sending out into the world. The best way to preserve your energy is not to do away with things that deplete it, but rather to pour yourself into things that fill you up. Get out of your comfort zone, do things that make you happy, and surround yourself with positive people if you want to feel better. Taking proactive measures to create a life that motivates and inspires you is just as important as defensive measures when it comes to protecting your energy. My energy is my responsibility should be your guiding principle in the year 2025. Whoever says someone else's job to guard it isn't doing their job right. Never again will you betray someone or something that hasn't deserved it. Protect it as if it were priceless, and see how your life changes when you stop worrying about running out of things and start focusing on creating more. Keep your energy up. You can't give your all to anyone or anything else while you're down. Furthermore, you are deserving of the opportunity to live out your life's purpose. Simply saying boundaries conveys an air of authority and precision. But come on, how often do we even realize how important it is to set and stick to limits? Boundaries aren't only for controlling other people. They're also a way to respect yourself. It's a proclamation of self-respect that says, I value myself enough to define what I will and won't allow in my life. When you establish boundaries, you're not just drawing a line, you're constructing a framework for how others can engage with you. The message is clear. You value yourself too much to give it up for the sake of other people. Boundaries are not a sign of selfishness. Let me say it again. Creating them is truly a selfless act, as it benefits not only you, but also everyone in your immediate vicinity. Why? Why? Because limits clarify things. Relationships can thrive when both parties understand and respect one another's expectation. The reality, though, is that setting boundaries can be difficult, particularly if you tend to avoid confrontation or are accustomed to pleasing other people. It could be strange to say no when you're used to saying yes. Disappointment, offending, or being characterized as difficult can be on your list of fears. Just so you know, the awkwardness of establishing limits is just that. Temporary. Being without them is excruciatingly painful. Picture yourself as a lovely house, brimming with love, light, and possibilities. Imagine for a second a world where you never lock your doors or windows. Nothing is ever off limits. At any moment, anything might stroll in with its own chaos, demands, and expectations. Your home's once beautiful aesthetic will eventually become disorganized, unkempt, and unrecognizable. That is the appearance of a life devoid of restrictions. The security of your home is ensured by its boundaries, which are the doors and locks. In fact, they don't filter out everything, but rather only the information that you deem to be in line with your ideals. I hope that by the year 2025, you will have realized that limits are not meant to be a kind of punishment, but rather a means of protection, keeping your tranquility, vitality, and self-respect intact. I will not tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or anything that diminishes my sense of self-worth. That's what it means to set boundaries, to put your own comfort ahead of someone else's. Problem is, those who profited from your lax boundaries will be the ones who dislike your boundaries the most. Saying no to requests that you already agreed to may encounter pushback. Altercations or accusations of selfishness can be leveled against you. The individuals who genuinely care about you will honor your boundaries because they value you. But I want to remind you that others who aren't, they cared only about what you could provide for them and never about you as a person. Permit me to explain why setting and sticking to healthy boundaries is so important for your mental and emotional well-being. Resentment grows when boundaries are not established. Saying yes to things you're not passionate about erodes your identity. Over time, feelings of being used, underappreciated, and overwhelmed start to set in. But you know what? Resentment does more than harm you. It seeps into your relationships and causes friction and strife. Anger can be alleviated by establishing limits. As a result, you may safeguard your serenity and give from a place of plenty rather than pressure. Remember that setting limits is about more than simply refusing something. The is to just say yes to yourself, your wants, your priorities, and your aspirations. Setting limits gives you the room to think about what's important. As a result, you are able to be yourself without worrying about what other people think of you. Keep in mind that setting limits doesn't need to be forceful or rude. Silent but solid boundaries can be just as effective. Subtly maintaining your boundaries is more important than than making your disapproval known to everyone. Choosing not to do anything that goes against your principles is like turning down a phone call, avoiding a heated debate, or staying out of a sticky circumstance. I will honor myself by setting boundaries should be your resolution for the year 2025. Boundaries are not hindrances. They are pathways to a better, more satisfying existence. And I will not apologize or feel guilty for safeguarding my tranquility or putting my health first. Establishing limits teaches people how to behave around you. Most significantly, though, you learn to love and care for yourself without condition. Make a boundary, but do it out of profound, unwavering respect for yourself, not wrath or spite. Because being true to yourself means embracing the magnificent individual you are always destined to be. In a world where everyone is always yelling and demanding their voice be heard, the power of quiet is often underestimated but profound. Quietness isn't fragility. Quietness isn't fragility. Being quiet is powerful. It is purposeful, well-planned, and revolutionary. The natural tendency is to respond defensively, aggressively, or with the intention of making the offender feel the pain of their offense when they mistreat you, insult you, or attempt to drag you into needless drama. My question is this: when have your reactions ever made you feel better? Have arguments ever resulted in permanent solutions? The majority of the time, when we respond, we end up making things worse and focusing on things or people that don't deserve our anger. Silence is the key here. Sitting quietly does not mean giving up or accepting defeat. Rather, it means asserting one's authority. You are choosing not to add gasoline to the flames when you remain silent, rather of wasting energy trying to convince someone. You've decided to show them via your actions. The message conveyed by remaining silent is, I value my peace more than this argument. Yet, let us delve farther. Being silent means being conscious of oneself, not merely not speaking. It's the capacity to stop, think, and determine what's really important. When you can hear yourself think clearly, you can evaluate the situation objectively and then make a decision based on logic rather than emotion. It's the pinnacle of restraint. The beauty of remaining silent is that it makes people look in the mirror. When you stay out of their anarchy, they can only look inward at their own behavior. In many situations, the power of stillness is greater than that of spoken words. Imagine for a second a world where you never lock your doors or windows. Nothing is ever off limits. At any moment, anything might stroll in with its own chaos, demands, and expectations. Your home's once beautiful aesthetic will eventually become disorganized, unkempt, and unrecognizable. That is the appearance of a life devoid of restrictions. The security of your home is ensured by its boundaries, which are the doors and locks. In fact, they don't filter out everything, but rather only the information that you deem to be in line with your ideals. I hope that by the year 2025, you will have realized that limits are not meant to be a kind of punishment, but rather a means of protection. Keeping your tranquility, vitality, and self-respect intact. When I decide to set boundaries, it's because I refuse to put up with anything that makes me feel less valuable, like manipulation or disrespect. Putting your own needs before those of another is a conscious decision. The problem is, those who profited from your lax boundaries will be the ones who dislike your boundaries the most. Saying no to requests that you already agreed to may encounter pushback. Altercations or accusations of selfishness can be leveled against you. Just remember that the individuals who genuinely care about you will honor your limits just as much as you honor them. Others who aren't, their concern was always with how you could benefit them, not with how you were doing personally. Permit me to explain why setting and sticking to healthy boundaries is so important for your mental and emotional well-being. Resentment grows when boundaries are not established. Saying yes to things you're not passionate about erodes your identity, over time, feelings of being used, underappreciated, and overwhelmed start to set in. But you know what? Resentment does more than harm you. It seeps into your relationships and causes friction and strife. Anger can be alleviated by establishing limits. As a result, you may safeguard your serenity and give from a place of plenty rather than pressure. Remember that setting limits is about more than simply refusing something. The key is to simply say yes to yourself, to your wants, your priorities, and your aspirations. Setting limits gives you the room to think about what's important. As a result, you are able to be yourself without worrying about what other people think of you. Keep in mind that setting limits doesn't need to be forceful or rude. Silent but solid boundaries can be just as effective. It's more important to enforce your boundaries in a subtle way than to make your disapproval known to everyone. Choosing not to do anything that goes against your principles is like turning down a phone call, avoiding a heated debate, or staying out of a sticky circumstance. This is my solemn vow for the year 2025. I will respect myself by establishing reasonable limits. Keeping my peace and putting my health first are not things for which I will be sorry. Rather than being obstacles, setting healthy boundaries can lead to a happier, more satisfying existence. Establishing limits teaches people how to behave around you. Most significantly, though, you learn to love and care for yourself without condition. Make a boundary, but do it out of profound, unwavering respect for yourself, not wrath or spite. Because being true to yourself means embracing the magnificent individual you were always destined to be. In a world where everyone is always yelling and demanding their voice be heard, the power of quiet is often underestimated but profound. Quietness isn't fragility. Quietness isn't fragility. Being quiet is powerful. It is purposeful, well-planned, and revolutionary. The natural tendency is to respond defensively, aggressively, or with an emphasis on making the offender feel the pain of their offense when they wrong you, mistreat you, or attempt to drag you into needless drama. My question is this: when have your reactions ever made you feel better? Have arguments ever resulted in permanent solutions? The majority of the time, when we respond, we end up making things worse and focusing on things worse and focusing on things or people that don't deserve our anger. Silence is the key here. Sitting quietly does not mean giving up or accepting defeat. Rather, it means asserting one's authority. You are choosing not to add gasoline to the flames when you remain silent, rather of wasting energy trying to convince someone. You've decided to show them via your actions. The message conveyed by remaining silent is, I value my peace more than this argument. Yet, let us delve farther. The presence of self-awareness is embodied by silence, which is more than simply the lack of speech. It's the capacity to stop, think, and determine what's really important. When you can hear yourself think clearly, you can evaluate the situation objectively and then make a decision based on logic rather than emotion. It's the pinnacle of restraint. The beauty of remaining silent is that it makes people look in the mirror. When you stay out of their anarchy, they can only look inward at their own behavior. In many situations, the power of stillness is greater than that of spoken words. When you don't respond as expected, it catches the person anticipating your reaction off guard. The aggressor loses power when you show them that you can be cool. The power dynamic is changed when people don't say anything. Without speaking a word, it puts you in charge of the story. Just think about it. When you stay silent in response, you cut off the source of negativity. Toxic people can no longer control your emotions. Arguments can no longer gain steam, and gossip can no longer make an impact. Being silent conveys the message, I am aware of what is happening, but I will not take part. It also has a powerful impact on relationships. Silence may be a strong boundary setter in any kind of relationship, whether it's a friendship, a partnership, or a professional one. A simple, I will not entertain disrespect, manipulation, or anything that diminishes my self-worth can be conveyed by silence. No need to dispute or explain. Your actions speak volumes. On the other hand, being silent doesn't mean you should ignore anything. It means you should be selective about where you use your voice. Whether you're speaking up for yourself or someone else, there will be times when you must speak out. However, not everything calls for your opinion, and not everyone should have access to your innermost thoughts. Being able to distinguish when to engage and when to let go is the essence of silence. Let's not forget the importance of quiet and its transformative potential. You offer yourself the gift of tranquility when you opt for quiet. You give yourself permission to relax, which in turn calms your emotions and rejuvenates your spirit. Clarity is born in quiet. If you've lost touch with the voice within you that recognizes your values and identity, this is the place to find it again. In the year 2025, find power in remaining silent. Use your quiet to make a bold message. Keep your composure, maintain your honor, and show the world that you aren't someone to be trifled with. Keep in mind that remaining silent can have a profound impact. It's a strategy to combat pessimism. Instead of descending into anarchy, you might choose to rise above it. When you remain silent, you're telling the world that you won't allow it to control how you feel inside. Silence is strength, not fear, so choose it when you're around toxic individuals, conflict, or drama. Not because you are speechless, but because you are aware of the impact that silence may have. Your silence will convey more meaning than any words you could possibly use. There is knowledge in stillness. Strength is found in stillness, and calmness comes with being quiet. A lot of people, motivated by emotions like fear, remorse, and misunderstanding, have the wrong idea about how to cut someone off. A lot of people think that if you put some distance between yourself and another person, it signifies that you're angry or hateful toward them. To clear the air, severing ties with another person isn't a sign of animosity, but of healing. Protecting yourself is more important than punishing them. Some relationships are like open sores, and we must learn to recognize this. They annoy you, they make you sick, and they keep you from reaching your full potential. Whether it's a friendship, a family tie, or a romantic commitment, you should assess its value in your life when you notice it's continuously depleting your spirit. Distancing yourself from harmful relationships isn't a sign of hatred. It's a recognition that certain individuals or situations can't support your development, harmony, or mission. Refraining from communicating with someone does not indicate that you intend them harm. In fact, it's a sign of maturity to wish them well, even distantly. By severing ties with someone, you are essentially telling them, "I love myself enough to step away from what's hurting me." This is different from rejection, which is redirected. Refocusing your efforts on being well, being optimistic, and creating the life you want is what it's all about. Imagine this. How can you cling to what is designed to strengthen you if you're clinging to something that is tearing you down? Having toxic relationships weighs you down and prevents you from reaching your full potential. Cutting ties with someone can be the most selfless act you can make at times, benefiting both parties. Remaining in a relationship that is driven by bitterness, suffering, or ongoing strife is detrimental to both parties. Distancing yourself allows both of you to heal. We can talk about the shame now. Allegiance is a common mask for guilt. You worry about what they might think of you, or that you can't let them go because you've known them for a long time. The truth is that you don't have to give up your health or happiness to remain loyal, and vice versa. A person's length of time in your life is no guarantee that they will remain. You should be able to accept the fact that certain people enter your life for a little period and then exit just as gracefully. You can't take the wonderful times or wisdom you gained from someone with you when you cut ties with them. It just says that things have changed and that doing things the same way isn't working anymore. The key is to remember the good things that have happened and release the bad ones. Disconnecting from someone doesn't need to be a showstopper. Proclaiming, elucidating, or rationalizing it is unnecessary. No one has the right to demand an explanation from you when you choose to keep your peace during your healing process. While some may grasp the concept, others may not, and that's perfectly fine. No one else's opinion or comprehension matters more than your own on your road to recovery. An essential fact: severing ties with someone does not mean closing your heart. It's all about letting more light in. Encouraging healthy relationships, authentic connections, and the respect and love that you merit are all about making space for them. You create room for optimism to grow when you rid your life of toxins. Learning to cut ties with someone encourages you to be responsible for your own actions. It's a gentle nudge to take responsibility of your own psychological, spiritual, and emotional well-being. No matter how other people treat you, you have the power to decide whether they remain in your life. Reclaiming control and remembering that your peace are important can be achieved via letting go. Remember that forgiving someone is a necessary step in getting over a hurtful experience. You don't have to hold on to bitterness if you cut someone off. It goes something like this: you're letting them off the hook for the hurt they caused you, even if they never say sorry. It entails letting go of the guilt you felt for continuing to endure an abusive relationship despite your knowledge of the dangers. Release, not reconciliation, is what is necessary for forgiveness. I want you to rethink what it means to shut someone off in the year 2025. Love, not hate, is at the heart of the matter. Love for oneself, love for one's future, and love for one's future, and love for the tranquility that lies beyond the suffering. Breaking off contact with someone isn't the end of the story. It's the start of a new one in which you put your health first, welcome recovery, and fearlessly pursue your life's purpose. Choosing to put yourself first is more important than giving up on another person. So keep that in mind the next time you consider letting someone go. You're actually opening the door to healing rather than closing it. And you're not severing ties with them because you detest them. Rather, you're freeing yourself from something that has been limiting you. State of tranquility is among life's most priceless gifts. It is the rock that you may lean on when times go rough, the basis for a life that matters, and the way to find your way. When you're at peace, it's also one of your weakest points. Distractions, pessimism, unhealthy relationships, and even your own self-doubt and concerns pose a continual danger. Therefore, protecting your tranquility is not a luxury, it's an absolute must. In order to zealously protect your tranquility, you must first acknowledge its value. We tend to disregard the importance of peace due to its perceived intangibility. You can't put a price on it, or even feel its loss when it's gone. It's just not tangible. Everything else takes a hit when your serenity is disturbed. You feel less energized, less clear-headed, and less capable of making rational decisions. No life is worth living if it isn't built on a bed of tranquility. Being discerning is the first step in protecting your tranquility. Saying yes to everything can lead to turmoil, so be careful with the opportunities, relationships, and invitations that deserve your yes. Learning to assess things in light of how they relate to your beliefs, purpose, and health is essential. A danger to your tranquility is anything that is at odds with your fundamental beliefs. Getting discerning serves as a protective barrier, keeping you from getting swept away by a multitude of meaningless paths. Setting limits is another way to protect your tranquility. Boundaries aren't barriers. They're openings that let in those things that enrich your life and seal off those things that deplete it. Without limits, your tranquility is vulnerable to the whims and expectations of others around you. Establishing limits isn't egocentric. It's a matter of protecting oneself. Saying no to things that make you feel anxiety or depression is really a yes to yourself. Mastering the art of letting go is also essential for maintaining inner calm. it is crucial to release harmful attachments, past mistakes, and grudges. Dealing with emotional baggage is like pulling a heavy load. It makes you move more slowly and uses up more of your energy. To let go is to release oneself from the shackles of one's experiences, not to ignore or dismiss them. By releasing attachment, you free up mental and emotional space that negativity had been using. This creates an environment where peace may thrive. A strong commitment to maintaining inner calm necessitates deliberate management of one's time and energy. How you choose to spend your finite amount of time is directly related to your life's happiness. When you go somewhere new, listen carefully to what other people are saying and watch what you see on TV. Are they bringing you tranquility or taking it away? The destination of your energy can be determined by you. Pick carefully. Taking care of yourself is an important part of keeping your tranquility. It's about taking care of your mental, emotional, and spiritual needs every single day, not just when you have a spa day or a bubble bath. Making sure you're not depleted and that you're feeding yourself in ways that keep your peace is the key. Investing in yourself via self-care is a smart move. It's not a luxury. Lastly, practicing detachment is key to protecting your tranquility. Being detached from other people or things doesn't imply you don't care about them. It just means you won't allow them to dictate how you feel inside. The key is to realize that you won't be at peace unless the world falls into place just so. You can keep your composure in the face of turbulence, your feet firmly planted in the dirt, and your mind clear even when everything around you seems to be spinning out of control if you practice detachment. Let us strive for greater self-awareness and self-respect in the year 2025. Stay calm in the face of hostility, interruptions, or unhealthy relationships. Defend your energy with all your might. Respect your value by establishing limits, and remember that quiet may convey a lot. You are not displaying hatred when you shut off communication with someone. Rather, you are mending and making a statement about the importance of your peace and purpose in life. Be careful with your serenity, for it is the rock upon which a happy existence rests. Break free from what is holding you back and fearlessly pursue a life filled with clarity, purpose, and independence. I really think you should subscribe to this channel. It's a great way to keep going on your journey of self-discovery with our new videos that we upload every day. As soon as you understand the importance of this warning, please respond by writing now. With a little effort, we can definitely get this done.